it would be nice if people could just sit there, close their eyes, and just take a few deep breaths in and out, and then just start to listen within. Like, where is your discomfort, and just lean into the discomfort, and that's where you can become aware of what you want to shift. But
welcome to Settling's Not an Option. I'm Adam Nebbs, and I'm here with my co-host Amanda Stanhope. This show is for anyone out there who feels like they've settled for an unfulfilling life. Whether you've settled in a relationship, the work that you do, or how you feel about yourself, we're here to tell you that settling's not an option. If you're liking the show, please follow us on Spotify, Amazon Music, or you can subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you have any feedback about the show or want to recommend a topic, you can email us at cheers-to-not-settling@gmail.com. Finally, to conclude the plug, if you feel so inclined, you can donate to us on Coffee, where we're aiming to buy some new audio equipment. So we have another guest with us today by the name of McLean. Luke helps men connect to their true values and identity, heal their traumas, and remove limiting beliefs that are holding them back, setting them up to be the men that they truly want to be. He's a qualified neurotransformation therapy practitioner, breathwork coach, and utilizes a combination of these plus his own lived experience journey with depression, anxiety, and addiction to help others live the life they desire. Welcome to the show, Luke.
Thank you very much, Adam. Appreciate it, mate.
Yeah, definitely.
No worries at all. So we just wanted to start kind of looking at your background, because obviously the whole premise of the show is around teaching others not to settle, when they're finding that their life's not hitting the mark for what they wanted. So can you just tell us a bit about your background and made you, what made you want to change your path?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's such a great message to send to not settle, because, for me personally, it's a constant growth journey. So I think that's a really fitting and beautiful name for a podcast. So
well, thank you.
Thank you.
I appreciate that.
But yeah, look, for me, it was just constant feelings of a constant feeling that I just wasn't living the life that I really wanted to live, feeling very unfulfilled, feeling very unhappy, and just constantly feeling like, just wasn't living to the purpose that I wanted to live. I was chopping and changing with what I was doing work-wise, but always had in the back of my mind that was the way that we define our value and our success in life, is as to what we do in our work or career. I had zero idea about how to look after myself mentally. I came from a sporting background as a young man and played a lot of Aussie rules football, and just grew up in a culture where it was frowned upon to show any emotion as well. So everything for me was surface level, and just really getting through life however I thought possible, but didn't want to ask for help with anything. So I was settling big time, absolutely, in every area of my life, really. It took a long time to get to the point where really said, well, look, this is enough, and I want to improve on some areas in my life, and how do I go about that?
Mm-hmm.
So
was there some event that sparked that? Like, was there a rock bottom point or something that kind of sparked that? Or
there's been a few rock bottoms, and I feel that they got deeper and deeper each time.
Yeah, right.
So look, there's definitely some events that I look back on that I can be aware of that really shifted my life and shifted me into taking action, I guess. And those points have just been, I guess, the rock bottom moments in certain areas of my life. So, whether it was financially through my gambling addiction, that I had exhausted absolutely every avenue that I possibly could, the guilt and the shame that built up within me, and really needing to admit to some of my wrongs and move forward with that. But I guess from a specific events, there are a number, and it's, I think that's even evolved in what I consider were my lowest moments now compared to the moments when I was in them. My moments now, because I have been on this journey of self-discovery, I guess, is the times I look back when I've really hurt people. And I think through the journey, I've figured that's what I was attaching a lot of guilt to myself. So it was really affecting me in being able to move forward, but also, I had hurt quite a lot of people. So it was those events that I looked back upon and consider the rock bottoms. But during the time, it was when I was down and out, didn't know where I was going to get my next meal from, didn't know how I was going to live the next day, really, and the times where I'd really considered that I'm probably not best to be on this earth, and it's time for me to go. Those are the times that were really probably the lowest in that moment, and it seems quite remarkable that I was having those thoughts, because they were just compounded for quite some time to get to that point.
Yeah, I imagine.
That's hard to hear, but it would be true of so many people, and I think that's why your story is really important, because men in particular, particularly in Australia, there is this very societal belief that men just need to just get on with it, and there's been a lot of initiatives, especially in construction and these really like tradie industries, where trying to get men to speak up and realize that, we know you're probably hurting and that you need, and there's different ways that you might need to do this. Can you maybe talk through, like, personally, before we kind of get into your work stuff, but how did you start to realize, that your mental health wasn't where it needed to be, and what strategies you needed to do to kind of change it for yourself?
For sure. I think I probably started to realize it when I had behaviors that I just didn't know why I was acting the way that I was. And to elaborate on that, it was, I guess, lying to people, being dishonest. It was things that were dragging me away from any integrity and from any values that I placed upon myself. And so when I started to do that, I started to look a little bit within, but it didn't get very far at that point. I wasn't willing to really shine the light on any of my issues. So I started to become aware of them more so because they were getting pointed out pretty obviously towards me. But I guess the changes really needed to start taking place, because I was always taking multiple steps back anytime I tried to move forward, and that could have been in any relationships. It was the same cycles, and it was either me being overly obsessive or having zero interest, and there was no balance within that. Within my physical health, my eating, my training, it was very, very inconsistent, where it was an all or nothing approach. So I started to really identify these areas, and just knew that the way that I was living wasn't sustainable. And if I've always placed a high value on wanting to be a role model, and to be in a family as well. And I just knew that the behaviors that I was putting out, it wasn't possible to be able to have that if I continued in that way. So I needed to take ownership on that and start to make some changes.
And why do you think that was important to you to be a role model? Or why did you hold yourself up to that standard, do you think?
I think within I have leadership as a quality that has just always been there within me. But then, and I think that's why there was such a contrast in the behaviors that I was showing up as. But I've always been inspired by people that have shown leadership qualities, that have done things no matter what they feel that society deems as right or wrong, that just follow their own beliefs and stay true to them. So I've always been inspired by that, and I guess wanted to lead by example myself.
Well, it sounds like that is your true self. and you were almost denying that. And that's how you ended up going down that path, because you were denying your true self. Yeah.
Yeah, there was definitely some conflicted parts within me at that point.
Sure. Yep.
Yeah.
And that would be true of so many people, though. I think it's that, you know, I like you saying in the beginning, you know, you started that awareness, and, you know, it wouldn't go deep enough, and you kind of take a few steps back, because I think this journey to awareness, it just doesn't happen overnight. You don't just click and instantly, oh, yep, cool, I've realized all these things wrong with me, and now I'm going to change my life. It's a gradual process, and awareness is really hard, and that's probably the first step people need to take. But I'm just wondering as well, so what are some of the habits or the activities you do now consistently to keep your mental health in a good place, to keep yourself aware of where you need to go?
Yeah, so there is quite a few that I've learned along the way, and very, very important, I guess, for people to identify what does work for them, because not everything will work for everyone. But for me, along the journey, I learned mindfulness practices. At the start, it wasn't a consistent practice, and probably didn't have the understanding of what mindfulness and then even meditation was. But my practices have got more consistent, and it's just a practice, so it doesn't matter whether you're doing it well or not to begin with. But so that's a pretty important practice for me. Breathing for me is a massive practice, and one that I found was a really simple way to cultivate mindfulness. It was a way that it didn't need to have all the, if you're not into it and haven't learned it, it didn't need all of the words and understanding of what it was. You just close your eyes and just breathe consciously for 5 minutes.
And that makes such a huge difference, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's like, that's really underestimated how much of a difference that makes.
Absolutely. It's such a simple tool to shift states, and I didn't understand any of that, but yeah, once I started practicing, I learned from Wim Hof, and
Nice.
I loved that deeper style of practice because I could feel the shift within. And I think that was a really cool thing about any form of breath work, and what I learned and then practiced, which was just simple, just slower the exhale down, and it calms you down. Like just those little shifts are so simple to be able to create. So breath work has been extremely important for me to use as a tool to stimulate my recovery, to use as an anytime practice, whether it's jumping on before this show. I literally did a minute worth just to cultivate some energy. So, you know, there's so many different ways that you can use it, but yeah, I love breath work as a tool. And then probably one of my personal favorites would be jumping in the cold exposure. So I've got a deep chest freezer that's 0 degrees.
I cannot imagine doing that. I cannot.
We'll get you in there, Amanda, one day.
No, you won't. But no, I have heard really great things about that.
Yeah, it's, for me, there's a number of benefits to it, but to put it very simply, you're looking at very cold water on a cold day, which is even better, and you're looking at it thinking,
like, that doesn't
it's going to be
sound
hard. and that's the beauty in it, is that you look at it, know that it's going to be hard, but then there's been times where I will actually just say to my mind, and I'll tell that to F off, I'll tell my body to F off, I am in control, and I hop in. And it really, I say that because when I hop in, I purely just focus on the breath and just slowing down the exhale. Once I've gained that control, I sit in there for maybe 2, 3, sometimes maybe 4 minutes, hop out, and then I feel like I can achieve anything in that day. I've just overcome my barriers of my mind telling me that I shouldn't do something, and I've just done it.
No, I love the idea, but I can tell you right now, I am not ever doing that.
You've set your boundaries nice and strong. I like it.
That's right. I know that boundary is there. Yes.
But I think, Wim Hof's, he's an absolute dude. I always think he's so funny to just watch. You know, and it's, as you say, like the whole meditation thing, you know, like the Buddhist practices and stuff. they can be quite intimidating. You're like, I don't know if I'm ready for this, but I like the fact that he's just mainstreamed it and made it really simple. He's like, let's take all the other stuff out of it. So did you go to a retreat? Because I know there's quite a few retreats that seem to pop up in Australia. Can you talk us through maybe like what that retreat looked like that kind of accredited you to follow these practices, I guess?
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, Wim Hof, I started following, a number of years back, and then went to see him in Sydney. And I just thought it was amazing to see. I think there was 1,400 people breathing in unison, and then getting in ice baths. And then, I don't know if you've seen his horse stance dance as to warm up. And it was just incredible. And just the shift, I remember the shift from the start for me, from hiding away in the corner with my mate, as everyone congregated out the front of the venue. And everyone then, they came out, they were playing drums and they started to dance. And me and my mate were standing, like, sort of hiding away in the corner, not wanting to get involved. And then by the end of the day, just, wearing footy shorts and doing the dance and just letting everything go. It was just a really profound moment for me to create that shift. But I think the thing, coming back to Wim just quickly, that I love and so inspired by that man is he just truly believes in what he is doing. He believes in the simplicity, and he's just out there spreading that message and helping people live happier, healthier lives. And it's so simple and beautiful. Absolutely love it and love the man. So that's what got me first into breathwork. So I was following him for a while, went to do that. And then for me, I then started to dive deeper into the practices. I would love to become an instructor of the Wim Hof method. The overseas flights killed that dream a little bit, to get over to Poland and to get out into the experience. But then I went online and started to learn and study an online breathwork certification, which was really interesting because, as I said before at the start, I was into these bigger practices and more uplifting practices, and I didn't really understand that you could just breathe slowly and softly, and how much of a shift that could get you. So I started to learn a lot more breathwork practices for reducing anxiety, for managing stress, for better sleep, and all of these practices. And it changed my life dramatically. But then I was able to pass that on, and I really, really appreciated the simplicity in it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm just wondering as well, because I just keep thinking, and every time Amanda and I have a show, I always think about we're quite far along in our journeys, I suppose, of waking up to what's important and not settling in life. So I just want to maybe even take a step back before we kind of dive into your work specifically. For men out there in particular that are just so far away from achieving that, basic awareness to know, I need to listen to these messages. I need to change something in my life. Where do you think is a good place to begin? Because I just think that's one thing that we want to, those are the people that we really want to break through, because of course, if you're already aware, you're probably doing something to help yourself already, but just those people that are so unaware, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. What a question.
I'm sorry.
You have the answer?
I don't think so. That's the hard bit, right?
It is such a hard question, and you could fire off any answer here, but for the people that need to hear it, they're probably not going to hear it. So
right.
It is so difficult, but it would be nice if people could just sit there, close their eyes, and just take a few deep breaths in and out, and then just start to listen within. Like, where is your discomfort? And just lean into the discomfort. And that's where you can become aware of what you want to shift. But it's difficult to get that message across. And that's why there's so much mental health awareness. That's why there's so much men's health awareness. And that awareness just needs to continue to drive, because that's what it creates. It creates that awareness for people to look within. If everyone could take responsibility that they're in control of their thoughts, feelings, and behaviors, the world would be a great place, because a lot more people would be acting from a place of love and kindness as opposed to fear and projecting their own inner pain. So yeah, it's a great question. If you have the answer, I'd love to know. But yeah.
Well, I have an answer. I don't know if it's the answer, but
yeah,
because I'm the outnumbered one here. Well, I would say it goes back to just what you were saying, Luke, about that people don't lean into their pain or their discomfort, I think you called it, and they run away from it and they hide from it. And partly because they don't feel like they have anyone that they can trust to confide in and trust to be vulnerable with. So I think if you're looking to help, really, truly help people get through that process and become awake or whatever you want to say, you need to be the one who can offer that shoulder and be that person to let someone else be vulnerable. So that's how I think we do it. Is we each have to take responsibility for allowing other people to feel their discomfort.
Yeah. And open and honest conversations.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it is very easy to jump on either a call or to see someone in person and just follow that path of, hey, how are you? Yeah, good. How's work? And follow that path. But, you know, to ask more difficult questions or to even open up about difficult questions, people have been fearful that people won't want to listen or that they'll be judged or that it's shameful. So I feel that has been dropped significantly. And yeah, so it is time for people to understand that other people do love being able to help people through situations. So yeah, creating that space for others is a beautiful way to do it.
And I think that is the answer to the question in both what you said, Luke and Amanda, is that there probably is no answer, that people will wake up at, you know, when they're ready to, but they need people there, you know, because maybe that's the easier part of, say, the world we're living in now. There's so much more awareness and people doing the kind of important work that you're doing, you know, so that when people are ready, they have more outlets to go through. So maybe it is people need to stop settling in these mundane jobs, you know, and when they have the capacity to kind of move into the work that you're doing to help people, that's the meaningful work that can maybe help those people when they're ready in their own way, which could be anytime.
Absolutely. And it reminds me of the book Awareness by Anthony DeMello. And in the book early on, he's talking about how when a child's asleep, well, it wasn't the child, but if someone was asleep and then therefore needing to go to school, for example, and you were trying to wake them up, like, come on, wake up, it's irritating and it's uncomfortable and you don't want to be woken up. So, you know, he speaks about that, but then the way to help people wake up is just to dance your dance and just to just follow your journey and just to continue to show up and show people what it is like to be awake and to be aware of what's going on. And then eventually when they're ready, they will ask for assistance.
Right. So it sounds like that's what you're doing through your work now. So tell us about that. What are you doing? And I'm sorry, I don't even know the name of your company. So what's the name of your company?
Oh, it's just my name.
Okay. Yeah, that's why I don't know it. I'm like, I don't remember seeing a company name anywhere.
No, the issue is I tried to do so many things myself, and I wouldn't say there's been lots of failed business ventures, but it was more just I knew that I wanted to work for myself and I wanted that freedom, but then I knew through my own journey that I wanted to be able to help other people through theirs. I started way too early before I was ready to hold space for others. And I wasn't in a position where I was well myself, and it would knock me back so far because I was struggling so much when I was trying to be there for other people, and my cup just wasn't anywhere near having anything even in it. But yeah, so throughout that journey and being able to get myself to a point where I can hold that space for other people and help guide them through their own changes. It's very much about being able for me to be able to let go of the past that's holding people back. It's generally, you know, some significant emotional events that have happened and have allowed people to experience, whether it's anger, sadness, fear, hurt, and guilt, combination of all. So a lot of my work is to release that at a subconscious level, so that when they're going back to that event, they're not needing to necessarily experience the emotion, because that, if a lot of the time, that can prevent them from getting anywhere near it. So there's a technique that can be used to be able to release those negative emotions from your nervous system. When it happens, you then feel extremely free, because you're taking learnings from the root cause of that particular emotion, and then the positive learnings that you're taking are then essentially getting dropped into every single event that you've ever felt that way about. So it's like you've lived a completely different life, and your perspective on things completely changes. So it's shifting that initially, and then any disempowering meanings or limiting beliefs that people have that are holding them back from being who they want to be, we remove those, and then integrate the new empowering beliefs into their subconscious and then conscious mind for them to act in the way they want to act. So it completely transforms people's lives based on changing their thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. Very powerful work, and something that I experienced myself and saw the shift and transformation within myself. And I was like, wow, this is how I can truly help people. I was guiding breathwork sessions, and I like to go a lot deeper with the breathwork sessions and bring out those emotions and push people into a deeper subconscious state. When I was doing that, I was finding that people were coming to me with trauma or with things that had been healed or released, and I had no idea then how to guide it. And that's when I looked into the neurotransformation therapy side of it and combined them both. And I feel it's a very, very powerful technique and tool, but once again, super simple, and it's all within. So all I'm doing is guiding people to find the answers within, to unlock and find where they want to go, and then just helping them set up the beliefs to be able to get there.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't even know what to say, because that just sounds so powerful. I mean, I understand exactly what you're talking about. I've studied a lot of the principles that are going into what you're doing, so I get it. And I'm kind of just shocked, because it just is something that would be so powerful, and I could see how that would change people's lives, and permanently. Well, there's so many things that so many quick fixes, I guess, that we try to find to deal with problems, but this isn't a quick fix, and it's going to fix it. It does, and it fix it.
It does, and it does take people to, for once again, for having that awareness on it doesn't necessarily, they don't need to know exactly what's going on, but I think with standard therapy, that's the focus a lot of the time. It's like, what has happened to you, or what is going on, what is showing up. Whereas, I want to do that clear out work, but I'm more interested in, well, what do you want to achieve? Who do you want to be? What do you want to become? Because if you're clear on who that is, then we can change behaviors and we can change thoughts in order to do that. And it doesn't need necessarily, my therapy to be able to do that. Like if you wanted to, if you were, let's say you've got social anxiety, and that's a label that you've now attached within your own identity. If I was to give you an exercise to truly connect you back to the part of you that is confident and that believes in yourself, and then set you up to go out to a social event later tonight, and I consciously get you in the state where you can do that, you're going to be able to do it. So it's just being able to create that permanently, as opposed to attaching to the identity that you have given yourself from either the stories that you've told yourself, or it could be an authority figure, such as a doctor or a therapist, or it could be anyone that's given you a label that you then just take as truth. And yes, it may be truth, and it may be something to work through, but a lot of the time, and for me personally, I was labeled with borderline personality disorder because I was just searching for something to explain why I was so angry and venting and so up and down.
Yeah.
But once I was able to get control of my emotions and work towards the man I wanted to be and the man that I am, then those behaviors just dissolved. So on the flip side of that, if I had have kept believing that I had that disorder for every single day and kept convincing myself, then I'm going to keep showing up with those behaviors.
Exactly. Yeah.
Wow. That's some really inspiring stuff. Like you've clearly been on a huge journey, like to get to your mindset to that, because that's really, really inspiring. If we could just, because I know being mindful of time, just maybe switching the conversation.
I was just going to say we're getting close.
Yeah, you're the timekeeper. Switching the conversation to men, and just particularly around, what the role of men, or the perceived role of men in society is, and how that's harmful maybe to men speaking up when they're not doing well.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's my passion area, I guess, and it's because from the environment that I grew up in, it was very much about, man up, toughen up, harden up, get on with it, and all this sort of stuff. At any time there was any emotion shown, particularly in form of sadness or crying or anything like that, it was that you were soft and you're a girl and all of this sort of stuff. So for me, that's why a lot of the emotion is suppressed. But then also, understanding masculine and feminine energy, it's much more common for females or for men that have more feminine energy to be more intuitive, to be more in touch with emotion. So, it's both a physiological and also a cultural thing that men have created within a lot of parts of the world, that's the way that a man needs to cover up their emotions. So it comes back to being able to teach men how to understand emotion, and then also how to lean into it and express it in a healthy way that's not detrimental to yourself or to others. But I guess the role of men in society has shifted dramatically as well. I mean, depending on what your beliefs are, like if you go back to hunter-gatherer days, men are out there providing for families, and it's a different model these days. I mean, even within the dynamic in my household, my partner is an extremely successful photographer. She's working from home majority of the time, unless she's out shooting, but she'll, she's bringing in some good income. So it's not that I need to go out and work and she stays home and looks after the family and does the cooking thing. Like it's not like that,
right?
In a lot of areas. I mean, it might be in some, but so it's really getting clear on what, for me, it's what values and what qualities do I want to bring to myself, to my family, to my circle outside of that, and then to the greater community as a man, as a woman. I don't think the label even really matters.
Sure.
It just comes back to how do you want to show up and what do you want to be known for as well. So I don't even think that is necessarily defining the man. It's just defining who you want to show up as and who you want to be as a person, as a human.
Right. No, I love that.
Mm.
Well, and it's still pretty fresh that we've been given the opportunity to, or the privilege, I guess, of being able to think about these things, because it hasn't been that long where you just had to go to work or you just had to do whatever it was you had to do, and you didn't have time to sit around and think about this stuff.
Yeah.
So we forget that we haven't really been working at this that long. So we have to give ourselves a little leeway to get better at it too.
No, we're incredible. Well, there's incredible things going on in here.
Yeah, right.
And we're constantly evolving, and things are just going to continue to change. But yeah, for me, it always just comes back to, are you leading, or are you acting out of love and kindness, or you're acting out of fear? And I become aware and conscious of that throughout my day on multiple occasions. And if I catch myself acting out of fear, then I shift it and make amends where need be, and make changes where need be. But yeah, it just comes back to that for me. And the more people that act out of love and kindness with every action, then the world's in a pretty great place to grow into something very special.
Yeah, absolutely.
What a great message for a Friday. I'm feeling really inspired, and there's been quite a few moments, mate, where I have just sat here and I'm just trying to absorb it all, because it's really, really nice to hear. But I like the message that you're sending, because it's just a very clear, articulate, inclusive message, which people need to hear. Yes. Also, it was very kind of you. Luke has offered as well for our listeners, and maybe you could unpack this a bit more, but to provide some free, half an hour consultations to kind of talk through some stuff. Do you want to maybe unpack that a little bit more for us?
Yeah, for sure. It's something that, a lot of the time, particularly men, find it difficult to be able to speak to someone. So, I use this consult as a way to be able to figure out what is holding people back from being who they want to be. And if I can shine the light on that a little bit and create that space for men to be able to speak to someone that can relate, but isn't going to judge, and just offer the guidance where I can, then that's the role of it. So it's be able to get out what's going on, where you want to move to, and for me to try and help you uncover what barriers are stopping you from that, and then be able to offer some guidance from there. If it ends up, you feel connected with me to work with me, either one-on-one or in my group programs, that's great. If I can give you some value and set you up to in another way, that's my job done, and that's what I'm here to do. So yeah, there's a free consult there. There is a bit.ly link, but it gets confusing because there's like capital letters in it. So what I would say, hit me up on Instagram, Luke McLean, with a couple of underscores, and shoot through a message, and we can go from there.
Yeah, we'll definitely get that in the post so people can get a hold of you. So
cool.
All right. Is there anything, we'll wrap things up here, but before we do, is there anything you didn't get a chance to say that you really wanted to say? Any last words?
Oh, I'm just grateful for what you guys are doing, and I think it's a beautiful message that you're sending. Looking through the episodes that you do, you're doing a fantastic job of spreading these types of messages, and yeah, it's just beautiful to see. So thank you for having me on, and keep up your amazing work. It's absolutely
we appreciate it. I mean, and what you're doing is you're changing the world. I mean, you are. So that's all there is to it. And that's huge, because not that many people can say that they're actually changing the world for the better, but you are. So
thank you. The world's constantly changing. So we either fit in and try to change with it, or we get left behind.
No, definitely. Yeah. I appreciate all that you're doing. So, all right, Adam, should we give the formal the outro here? All right. So thank you for watching. If you made it this far, we really appreciate you sticking around. And of course, you can find us on YouTube, Spotify, Amazon Music. And if you are so inclined, you can be as generous as to give us as little as $1 to keep this thing going, to help us get some better equipment and all that. There'll be a link to coffee in the description, so you can head on over to coffee and do that. And I think that's all our plugs. So we'll just say until next time, cheers to not settling.
Thanks.
Take care.